of how he was telling the story and all that stuff. And then when it came to, Cook County trying to file these felony criminal charges and hear him in front of a grand jury, his lawyer had talked to one of his family members and then decided to remove herself from the case. So it's just, it's not looking good for Jussie. It's really not.
No.
This is a disorderly conduct. You can think however you want about it, but this is a felony disorderly conduct charge and a felony filing a false police report charge. And it's like not only is it fraudulent, but it's like, these are law enforcement officials in Chicago. Chicago is an area where we need officers on cases, and there are so many things that need to be done. And because this was such a high-profile case, I can only imagine how many people were on the case. Because now you have Lee Daniels coming out. You have, all these high-profile people coming out in support. So it's like, the pressure was kind of put on the department as well to do all this. So I don't, they are handling it a lot better than me, because if my time had been wasted like that, I'm over here looking for clues in places that don't exist and all this stuff just because you wanted to make up a story. Man, that's weak. That's weak.
Well, not only is it weak,
Chief, does that happen often?
Well, it happens. It's not a common thing. When you let me put that in perspective. You don't have as many people filing false cases as you do people committing things like burglary and those types of things. But false reports are something that officers across the country have to deal with. When you look sometimes at cases where you have the boyfriend and the girlfriend filing false reports against each other, because they're involved in some type of custody dispute. That's probably the most common one that you'll find. But you do have people that make up reports about burglaries and other things, sometimes because of insurance purposes. And, they do that kind of stuff. But, Ambezi, again, that's a great point, because in a city where you have, over the last couple of years, over 1,200 people killed, you really don't have time to waste your resources like
right.
that. That's just crazy. And lastly, it sends the absolute wrong message to people that are worshiping this guy. I mean, Jussie Smollett has an incredible following of folks from 8 to 80. And this is just such a terrible example to set, particularly for those youngsters that are watching his every move and love him and worship him. It's a terrible thing. And you wonder what caused all of this. And I guess, Ambezi or Thinbad, what are the co-stars from Empire saying about this? Do you all know?
I haven't really heard anything from the co-stars of Empire ever since they came forward with their support when it first happened.
Their support, right.
Because, honestly, you have to think, if this was like one of your family members or somebody that you were close to, and somebody who obviously, if you're close to somebody and they're making allegations like this, you're not going to think that they are faking it,
Sure.
But, so, of course, initially, blindly, without knowing anything, Taraji came out, Lee Daniels came out, Terrence Howard came out, all of them came out in support, resounding support of Jussie. And the only thing I really know about what's going on as far as his Empire family is concerned is that he is on a hiatus right now.
Hiatus, or are they removing him from the show?
Fox actually just confirmed today that they are not writing him out of the show, but he is benched.
Right.
He's sitting on the sideline right now.
Right. And
I mean, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. You have Fox, okay, made a statement, a company. I mean, their company came out and made a statement like, we stand with Jussie, and it's so much deeper than just this individual. You have an entire studio in support of him. You have I mean, aside from the Empire family, you had celebrities and people all over the world who were literally pressing the police department like, oh, so what are y'all going to do? What are y'all going to do? What are y'all going to do? And it's like, jeez, this is a lot to... You can't just sweep this one under the rug. Like, this is not going to be one of those things where it's like, I mean, people will eventually forget as they do everything. But, like, I think that the way he is reacting to it is... I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if within a week or so you're going to read Jussie Smollett has checked himself in to this rehabilitation center to work on anxiety and blah, blah. I mean, I know that's coming, so that's not going to surprise me. But it just seems like he doesn't really, I'm not going to say he doesn't care, but it's like at this point he's done a multitude of interviews where he's crying and carrying on, and you know, even when people started to point out that his story was kind of folding, he stuck to it. So it just kind of seems like to me that he doesn't really care. And now that he's been caught in this lie, you haven't really heard anything from him. And I don't know if it's because he doesn't know how to handle it or because he just hopes that it'll just kind of be swept under the rug.
Yeah, I think he cares. I just think he's paralyzed by stupidity.
Right.
At this point. And there's no, you know, when there's no way out, when you're in the corner, there's nothing you can do that can clean this thing up.
Right.
And when the gig is up, the gig is up. And my thought on a serious note is that as to what you were alluding to, Ambezi, is that, you know, they might want to keep him on a serious watch.
Right.
For his own health, because people are just, when you get to that point, he's desperate about something.
Yes, to go to that extreme.
To go to that extreme. I mean, there had been rumors, you know, about people talking about, oh, he was going to be written off the show. There was talk about him being written off the show, so he was trying to drum up enough sympathy and support for his character to keep him on the show. But then sometimes that doesn't jive, because it's not like he's not been in show business and knows that there are ebbs and flows.
Right.
And even if they were to write him off or he was to go off the show, he had the kind of reputation. You know, I'd not really heard of a whole lot of bad things of any of the Smollett family. It's a whole family,
right?
That have been, you know, stars through childhood, and this being the big break, he could have done something else easily if that were the case. I don't know what it was, but I can't think. I've been busy kind of racking my mind in between all the jokes that just pop into my head automatically. I'm trying to think on a deeper level, trying to, you know, wish the brother well. Suing something else, but what is it that could make him that desperate and want to go through something so ridiculous when you think of all things historically, you know, that have happened, that have put people on alert? I mean, we can go as far back, probably farther, but one that we all know, the Emmett Till situation, where a woman lied and just told the truth on her deathbed.
Right.
You know, years later that, you know,
after
I made the whole thing up.
Slaughtered.
It didn't really happen. And meanwhile, you know, a whole movement started and families and lives are destroyed. You have, you know, back in, you know, Chief brought up Susan Smith, but there was something back in Boston. I remember where a man killed his wife or stabbed his wife and then told everyone in Boston that it was two black guys that did it, in the whole city. Boston's already got its issues with race, or had it back in the late 80s and early 90s.
Right.
And black folks were on you know, watch, you know, for the whole, they were just pulling everybody up. Come to find out, the man killed his wife. You know, he was the one that killed his wife. And I think he went as far as even stabbing himself in the leg just to get over. So here you got now, you got Jussie bringing in, you know, putting the gay community, the LGBTQ community is like, hold it. We're fighting this fight. He's an advocate. We're fighting this fight. We're trying to make strides. And here you come messing this of us.
Right.
And then the same thing with the whole, you know, with, as you said, you know, blacks, and it's you know, it's black against white again, as if that's not already going on enough, because he was clear to put MAGA and the certain words that he figured would throw people into, you know, another space.
Right.
But it was just ridiculous. I just can't understand paying somebody to beat you up, and then you end up getting charged and going to jail. So you just lose 2 times. He's got a twofer on this one.
I mean, and if this did have something to do with him getting written off of Empire. Now he just shoot his way on out. Like, I mean, come on.
He should just go in and slap Lucius and kick Cookie in the behind and walk off the set.
Walk off.
And then throw it down.
Man.
But, I mean, this is crazy. It's crazy. And, you know, it really is. I hope, I am a little, you know, fearful, you know, and praying that, you know, he does well and gets himself together psychologically or whatever else is going on. Because I just think he's in a lonely place right now.
Well, and, you know, you do have that side of your brain that wants to provide a bit of sympathy to Jussie. And certainly, you know, you know that his family is going through some stuff right now.
Yeah, how embarrassing.
I mean, just a whole lot of things. But at the end of the day, however, when you make up something like that, and then, see, here's the problem that I'm having, and this is why, at least, let me put it to you this way, just based on what they're reporting right now. Now, that may or may not change, but if what they're reporting is true, that he paid these guys and this was all some type of sick stunt, I'm just not feeling a whole lot of whatever right now. I have a problem with that because, you know, whatever you think about the whole mega thing and all that kind of stuff, that's you know, certainly your political opinion and, you know, what they represent. But when you get to the point where you are coming up with false narratives like that, and you are now expending police resources and community resources and resources that could be somewhere else doing other good things, I just have a problem with that. Particularly, again, that they are now alleging that he paid these gentlemen and everyone knew about this thing. So from the time he took the first microphone interview and said, "This happened to me," he knew that this was going on because he wrote the check.
Right. And weren't there something about some letters that were written beforehand, and those didn't get enough attention?
Yeah, they tried to send some threatening letters to him to the Empire studio, talking, you know, threatening him or whatever, and obviously that was orchestrated as well. So
and
that
if they wanted to push that issue, that's mail fraud. They could add to charges.
That's
sure.
Crazy.
And again,
using the U.S. Post.
Exactly. And again, I guess the other problem that I'm really having, and I said this earlier, is this guy is a tremendous talent. I mean, he's on the number one show in the nation. He has a large international following. It just, you know, he's an extremely talented young man, and the world is his oyster right now. But I guess it just goes to show that all that glitters is not gold. And so in spite of his success, there was something missing that caused him to have to do this. And it's just very sad. And I'm just glad that people weren't getting rounded up like what happened with the Susan Smith case. Remember, they were going around rounding people up like crazy based on this nonsensical description that she gave. Right. And again, I don't care what side of the issue you're on. You know, wrong is wrong and right is right. And you just don't do stuff like that.
Yeah, and anybody, it just makes me crazy to think any black person, if that happened and had a noose put around his neck, that damn thing would not have been around his neck time he got to the police.
Man, what?
Thank you.
They would have pulled that thing off immediately. It's psychologically. There's something about that. And I think they asked him about that, and he said, well, I didn't want to tamper with the evidence. Get the hell out of use the evidence. If something happened, you know, man.
That is crazy.
It's crazy. It's a complete lack of understanding, you know, from a historical perspective, from a psychological perspective, from socially, all of this stuff. He had no idea.
And
he
obviously
was completely oblivious to what this would cause, or the potential, you know, the backlash of this potentially. He had no idea. All he was looking at is me.
And obviously he didn't do enough research because he really carried on like he did not think that the police were going to catch him. That's the craziest part about it. Like they were not gonna conduct a full investigation. Like they were just gonna see all the stuff on him. Like, all right, he got the noose and this. All right, we believe him. Let's do it. Like what?
Too many CSI shows, Law and Order shows out here now. You can't